All right, so all of the directions for our political participation plan can be found in today's folder. So today is Monday, February 22nd. Here's our orange folder that says voter participation projects, and then here we go. The first thing in the folder is a PDF that I enjoy that outlines what we've been talking about all year, which is being a really thoughtful writer that thoroughly explains our evidence and uses our evidence to support whatever it is we are talking about. I'm referring to that generally as college quality writing. So in this PDF, there's all sorts of traits of what I would describe as college quality writing. It's all stuff that we've been working on this year. Really being thoughtful in the way that we explain concepts, being thorough yet concise. Those are all traits of being a college quality writer. One thing that is also listed in this PDF that I think we have struggled with a little bit this year, but I think it's just because of our setting, is proofreading and just cleaning up some basic typos. Like the amount of random capitalized letters that are in some of your FRQ answers, it really provides me some entertainment, honestly, when grading them. But let's give everything a once over and clean that type of stuff up. The autocorrect, how many times I read the word statuesque for some reason in these FRQs because it auto-corrected some other word. Let's clean that up a little bit. So this is a project that we're trying to use as a grade booster. We should all do really well on this. Give it a once over so that you're not turning in stuff with random autocorrects and random capitalized words and no punctuation, okay? So I want you to take a little bit of time to look at this PDF. You can do that on Wednesday. There's time available for you to do that. The next thing we have are two options. This is the more creative, I feel like thinking outside the box and being creative option. This is the more straightforward, I simply want to explain some stuff and reflect on some stuff option. So you figure out what kind of mood you're in and you would pick either the more creative option or the option that is a bit more straightforward. Any way you slice it, you are submitting your project here by 8 a.m. on Friday. I want it before class on Friday because we are using Friday to talk about our plans. So this is where it's being submitted to, no matter which one you pick. All right, let's take a look at option one first. And again, if I start explaining this and you don't like it, that's cool. You can pick the other one. Man, folders and folders and folders here. I think I have to switch my screen share now because it's coming up as a separate document. Hold on, it's still loading. Okay. All right, here's option one. Sorry, now of course I clicked it. I click things 100 times thinking it'll make it work faster. I'll never learn. Okay, option one is called an increasing voter participation plan. Notice it has a bunch of different parts, so does option two, but that's okay. I'm going to thoroughly explain if you choose this option, what you will be doing. Okay, so this is just an option. If you don't like it, then sit tight. I have another option for you. Okay, if you choose this option, you are going to be creating essentially a marketing plan to try to increase voter turnout among a specific group. And you can pick whatever group you want for the most part. If you want to try to increase voter turnout among Call of Duty playing 18 to 25-year-old young men, then that's the group that you can pick. If you want to try to increase voter turnout among people that are 75 and older, that's a cool group too. People that are dealing with homelessness, former felons, people that like to go to garage sales that are between the ages of 45 and 85, almost whatever group you want. And if you pick a group and you're not quite sure if I think you should use that group, then you just send me a quick email and I will let you know. But you are picking basically whatever group you want based on all sorts of traits to try to increase voter turnout among that group. So that's task number 1. Select a target group. Task number 2, that shouldn't say, I thought I fixed it, whatever. It shouldn't say 2012, but you're going to utilize the census website to get the most up-to-date data on that group. The most up-to-date data is going to be from 2016. Is this a statistics project where I'm going to obsess over your data? Of course not, but I just want the basic voter turnout of your group. The census website does not have data on Call of Duty players, but the census website has data on 18 to 25-year-olds. The census has data on young men. So you're going to take whatever group you pick and then pull out traits that you can use the census website to examine. And again, I can help you with that if you need help. It's not meant to be a statistics project. I'm not going to punish you if your data is off or if your stats are off. We're just doing our best to get some updated data that tells us something about our group. So that's that step. Then you're going to tell us a little bit about the history of your group and the barriers to voting that your group faces. So let's say you pick Call of Duty playing 18 to 25-year-old young men. Maybe they need to register. So that's an issue that you might need to address. This group might still need to go out and register. Maybe their address changes often because they are attending college. Maybe they don't feel particularly motivated or knowledgeable about politics because they spend a lot of their time playing video games. Whatever barriers you can address for your group and a little bit of the history of your group, that will be the next paragraph. Then here's the fun part. You're going to create a marketing plan to try to increase voter participation among your group. And I encourage you to be as creative as you'd like, because if you do all this work and then turn in a plan that's like, if they vote, we'll give them a sticker. I mean, that's been done, okay? So I don't expect you to solve all the world's problems here, but be as creative as you can and try to think about things that are helpful to your group specifically. Like, what if a Call of Duty Facebook group put up the instructions for registering to vote in all 50 states? That's an idea, right? You can take that one if you want. So how are you going to increase voting among your specific group? That's your plan. We do have to base this in reality though. Like, you can't vote wherever you want. You have to vote in the place associated with your voter registration. Let's base this in the current constructs. We don't vote by phone, for example, stuff like that. So you can be as creative as you'd like, but let's base it in reality. And then lastly, you're going to write a quick paragraph explaining why your plan is going to work. So this is why my plan is going to specifically target the issues of my group. So what is your group? Data about your group, history of your group, plan to increase voter turnout amongst your group, and then why your plan works. Those are the parts of this plan. You can work together on this project. Personally, I think any more than 3 people on a writing project, especially one with this few tasks, is more than enough cooks in the kitchen. If you desperately want to work with 4 people, may I suggest you actually break into 2 groups of 2, and you can still work together and be friends and bounce ideas off of one another. But I just feel that barring any special circumstances, a writing assignment with more than 3 people is just too much. But you can work with others, and I'll talk about the logistics of that after I go over the other option. So what questions do you have about this option? Okay. Option 2. And by the way, there's rubrics to go with all of this as well, and that I'll show you in a minute, but obviously it just takes time to toggle between all of these different things. And this is in the folder, but I didn't waste time clicking on the folder this time. All right, option 2 is a barriers to voting analysis. So this one does not have that creative piece. It still requires a lot of thoughtful analysis, maybe even more than the other, but it doesn't require you to have all that creative marketing plan. So you're going to reflect on historical barriers to voting and then select a modern day issue that you feel is a potential barrier to voting. I put you in all caps because there's a lot of controversy and a lot of difference of opinion as to what is a barrier to voting versus what isn't. There are some people that are very much in favor of voter ID laws, and there are other people that think that voter ID laws disenfranchise people. You're totally entitled to your own opinion. So you're going to pick what you think is an issue. I'm not going to tell you what is or is not an issue. You get to pick. So here's the first piece. You're going to reflect on historical barriers to voting. So this is going to be a conversation about maybe the 15th Amendment and the 19th Amendment and poll taxes and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. You don't have to do extra research. This is all in our notes. But this is a reflection of historical barriers to voting. Next, you get to pick anything that you think is a barrier to voting. If something on this list isn't a problem for you, then don't pick it. Then it's not a problem for you. This list is not the end all be all either. If you can think of a topic that's not on that list, I would love to hear it. But you're going to pick something that you think is a present day barrier to voting, something that makes it difficult for people to vote today. And you're going to find an article about that barrier and analyze it. And then you are going to brainstorm some sort of way of addressing that barrier. And then you're going to reflect on how that barrier or how your method of addressing it is beneficial. So similar structure to the other project with a little bit of history and then picking a topic that interests you and then reflecting on it. But this one, it doesn't require that creative marketing plan. So reflect on historical reflection on the barriers to voting, picking an issue that you think is a problem and an article that goes along with it and addressing that article, coming up with an idea to deal with that barrier, and then reflecting on why your idea works. What question do you have about this option? This option also allows you to work with others. Again, I think 3 people or fewer. If you really want to work with 4 people, I would suggest you break into 2 groups of 2. Questions about this one? I actually love that idea. Yeah, I totally didn't think of it. Love it. Well, no, do I love it? No, I do not. But do I like that creative idea? Absolutely. Really good point. Other questions about this one? Okay. In this folder, there are also rubrics, and forgive me while I'm just toggling back and forth between a whole bunch of stuff here. Here we go. All right, in this folder, you will also find rubrics that break down the expectations. Notice that in a couple of spots on the rubric, college quality writing is addressed. So have you thoroughly explained the concept? Did you write in a thoughtful but concise way? Is it free of simple errors? That's what I mean by college quality writing. You can explore that more in the PDF in the folder, but there are rubrics for both assignments. So just to save myself some toggling around, I'm not going to pull up both rubrics, but they both look just like this. They are tailored to the specific project, and there is a rubric for you to take a look at. Okay, let me go back. All right, so all that stuff that I just showed you is in here. Option 1, the directions, the rubric. Option 2, the directions, the rubric, and then you're submitting it here. Eventually, this lovely recording will be put into this folder as well in case you would like to listen to these directions again. We normally talk about Wednesday work on Tuesdays, but because it has to do with what we're talking about right now, allow me to show you this week's Wednesday work. It's a project check-in. So first it's going to ask you, what option did you choose? Did you choose option 1, the voter participation plan, or did you choose option 2, the exploration of barriers? Do you plan on working with others? Yes or no? If you do, go ahead and let me know who you're working with. If you picked the voter participation plan, what population do you plan on focusing on? If you picked the barriers to voting, which barrier do you plan on focusing on? And then lastly, this is just a true or false question. I know that there's office hours on Wednesday. I know that if I have any questions, I'm going to attend those office hours or reach out to Mrs. O'Rourke. Of course, you will check true because that is true. So that is our Wednesday work. It's just a check-in. All right, back to our schedule of events. Tomorrow, we're going to spend the whole chapter reviewing, so no new information, no new work. So I don't know what your schedule looks like this week, but this evening, tomorrow evening, those are good opportunities to get started on this project. Wednesday, all we have is the check-in, so there is not an additional assignment, so you are encouraged to use Wednesday thoughtfully to work on your project. Thursday's class period, you have the entire class period to work. I'm hopeful that technology will allow you to work with whomever you'd like. So if you're in the classroom, but you want to work with someone from home, I'll put you in a breakout room. If you are in the classroom and you can find a way, and I'll talk to Mr. Turley, but you can either Zoom one another, if you can find a way to safely work together, we can talk about that. If you are all at home, I can put you in a breakout room together. So in theory, I am hopeful that during Thursday's work time, you can work with whoever you want, whether you're in the classroom or you are at home. It's going to take a minute for me to set up the breakout rooms at the beginning of class, but I can do it. And you should be able to work throughout the period on Thursday with your group. Friday, we're going to share questions about the basic way that this is going to unfold. Let me be clear that this is not meant to be some hardcore research project. Absolutely not. It's meant to be a thoughtful and fun way to reflect on what we've learned. If you pick the voter participation plan, the only eensy-weensy bit of extra research you have to do is to go to the census website. If you pick the barriers to voting, the only outside work you have to do is find an article for yourself. Beyond that, all of the other information comes from class. So please do not turn this into more work than it needs to be. I want your answers to be quality, and I'm sure they will be, but this does not need to turn into a stressful, burdensome research project. It is not.